Asia Minnis Cruz Lanham is a 6-year industry veteran, the owner, founder, and CEO of the Thrive Hair Bar. Today, we're going to hear all about her story, how she got to where she is, and what she's doing now. Welcome back to the Hairdresser Strong Show. My name is Robert Hughes, and I am your host. And today, I'm with Asia Minnis Cruz Lanham. How you doing today, Asia?
I'm doing well, Robert. How are you? Of
I'm so good. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
course. Thank you for having me. I am honored to be here.
So, just to give all the viewers and listeners a little bit of context, I met Asia at the Aveda School Career Day,
Mhm.
and I was there with Sammy, who's my partner, and my wife, and we all got to meet each other and chat and talk. And we're excited to have you kind of come into the fold of hearing your story, especially in the local area.
Mhm.
And you're also part of the shadow program that we're launching on Tuesday with the Aveda students, at least the pilot. We're watching the pilot. So
Okay.
if you're wondering what that is, don't worry. I'm sure if you're following us on Instagram, then you will get to hear all about it. Okay, so Asia, tell us what, like, how did you go to school? Did you do an apprenticeship? How did you get in the industry? And give us a little bit of your background.
Yeah, so I got in the industry probably a little bit differently than most. I know all of our stories are unique, but I actually got into the salon industry from being in the tech industry. So I moved to San Francisco. I was born and raised in New York. I was born and raised in the Bronx. I did my first master's at Teachers College, Columbia University in exercise physiology. Decided like I want to go into research, and then I was like, wait, no, I don't want to do that. And so you graduate with this degree, and I'm like, okay, I'm not going to use it. What can I go do? And I said, well, I want to learn about tech, but I don't know anything. So what do people who don't know anything do? They go into sales. So I went into sales for a bunch of tech startups, moved to the Bay Area, and did tech sales for 7 years. And when I got into enterprise sales, I was actually traveling a lot for work. And like many of us who travel, you love to be pampered. You're out somewhere, you're stressed, you're talking to clients, courting people. The last thing I want to do is like have to go do more stuff courting people. It's like, oh, I want to get a massage. I want to get my hair done. And quite often I would be in cities and want to roll out of my hotel room, walk next door and get my hair done. And unfortunately for me, that was not the reality that I could enjoy. Like I would have to go online, Google black hair salon near me, or Google curly hair salon near me, 4C hair salon near me, kinky hair salon near me. And then if I did find one, it was not near me. It was somewhere I had to jump in an Uber or drive and 30 minutes to an hour away from where I was. That I don't want to have to do that, and I shouldn't have to do that. Or it was near me and they assumed that I wanted to get a relaxer or straighten my hair or put extensions in. And I couldn't understand why it was so hard to just do the hair I had on my head the way it grows out of my head. And so I was like, this can't be, I'm not the only person with this problem. I know that. And this can't be, normal in the years, the 2000s. So I decided, I was like, oh, you know what? I'm going to open a hair salon. I'm going to hire a bunch of stylists that are badasses and we're going to do great and make a lot of money. And, simple plan. I thought it would work. I was like, I got the tech background. I know about efficiency. I know about technology. I got a master's degree. I got this. And my husband and I moved to DC, and I was like, ooh, great demographic for the salon I want to open. I want to open something that celebrates the way hair grows out of your head, regardless of the pattern or texture, whether it's, kinky like mine or, straight or wavy like yours. So I said, you know what? Let's open a salon. Boom, COVID-19. I was like, oh, you know what? This is a great time to start a business. I was like, this is fantastic. It's obviously being a little sarcastic here, but I did actually open the first Thrive Hair Bar in 2020 in a salon suite because of the 6 feet rules and not being able to be with a lot of people. And before owning a salon, my experience had been as a receptionist for a color bar that I worked in LA. And I had also done extensions and my own hair, friends' hair for years. So my experience wasn't necessarily the coming up from hair school, apprenticing under someone, and then doing hair and then opening salon. I just opened a suite. And then I found it was really difficult to find partners and stylists who were really well versed in natural hair. And that actually led me to have a reality check and go to hair school. So I actually went to Bennett right here in DC. I also did a natural hair braiding course with Zamora, who's out of Maryland. I was like, try to get as much information and education as I possibly could, because I'm like, wow, if licensed people don't know what they're doing, like, how am I going to run a business if I can't find the talent? Um, and not that they're not out there, it's just that there should be more. It should be easier. It should not be this hard, right? This, people are born with different hair. It shouldn't be hard to do different hair types. So anyway, ended up going to school. I did start like a training program for internally at Thrive Hair Bar. We had that Arlington suite starting in 2020. And then, kind of demand grew and brand recognition grew, which I'm really excited about. And then we were able to open our second salon, which is actually a full salon that I'm in right now, in Washington, D.C. And we started building it from scratch in 2022, finally opened it in 2023. And here we are a little over a year later with the DC location, and then still having the Arlington location. So my story is one of frustration, which is why I kind of got into the hair industry, and love it.
So is your Arlington it's in a it's a studio or a suite, I mean?
Yeah, it's in a solo salon suite.
And is it a single suite or a double or
Yeah, it's a single suite.
and do you work out of that or do you have
So
people you trade like do you use like hoteling or something?
hotel, what do you mean hoteling? What's that?
That's like these apps where you can like oh I'm gonna work on this station or I'm gonna work at this desk or um kind of like Airbnb the
Mhm.
is that how you doing it or do you have like a resident who only works there or
Yeah, so all Thrive Hair Bar locations are staffed by employees. Everyone who works at Thrive Hair Bar is a W-2 employee who goes through training with us, whether it's in Arlington. We're very lucky that in Arlington, even though it's a suite, we have a full office space that's shared with all the other suites, but upstairs. So sometimes we do training up there. We even have worked with a lot of Aveda students who come in and apprentice with us there. So sometimes I'll work out of that location. There's typically one stylist per shift in that location. And then in the DC location, we do have 7 chairs and we do in-house training in the DC location. But to answer your question, the stylists themselves, like the ones in Arlington, typically are people who like live in Virginia, licensed in Virginia, don't necessarily want to have to come to.
okay
And the DC stylists typically live in either DC or Maryland, licensed in DC,
gosh
in Maryland, but we don't have a Maryland location, so that's not really relevant for us.
cool and then how long ago did you say your shop opened the one that you're in now
The one I'm in now opened in 2023. So June 2023 was our official like grand opening.
awesome
Yeah, last year.
good well congratulations on that that's exciting
Thank you.
okay so we were talking a little bit before we got started about like different topics that are important. You also talked about like the why you open the business versus the how, and so we got your why. So just a little bit on the how. So if you were to if you were talking to someone who was like, I want to open up, say, what if you hired somebody and they
Mhm.
said, I want to open up a salon? How would you handle that?
Yeah, I actually have two, three employees, two former, one still current, who said exactly that. And I'm like, this is awesome. And two of them, well, actually, all three went on to start in their own suites. And so they work, part time in their own suite and then part time for Thrive Hair Bar, which is beautiful. So I'm a huge proponent of do the thing that you love. If it's starting your own business, if it's having your own suite, if it's having your own salon space, I think that I always start with like, who's the target market that you want to serve? And kind of like what makes you different and why should people come to you, and then also what kind of people do you want to serve. So not just, hey, I love to do hair. Like you have to kind of interview and hire your clients just as much as they interview and hire you. And then the financial aspect is a huge element, because without money you can't do anything. People are always like, oh, you can get mentorship, you can get this. Like, you need money. I don't, period. Like, without money you're just not going to go anywhere. It's not going to happen. And
What
for me, go ahead, sorry.
Well, I appreciate that so much because there's a lot of like there's a lot of like signaling, like you can have anything you want. All you got to do is like work, like have a good attitude, not even work hard, by the way. And so I'm happy. Like what I like to do on this channel is kind of breathe a little truth into the some of the narratives that are on social media that I find to be rooted in delusion. But so like how if someone was thinking about opening up a salon and they were thinking about the money, just like how would you ballpark them? What would you respond? Be like, how much money do I? You're like, well, you gotta make, like build your clientele. Like, hey, I'll help you, blah blah blah. And then now you're on the money conversation, and then like, what would you say to that person?
So I typically like to start people out one with a spreadsheet. It's like, all right, if you're going to start small, which is my recommendation for most people, especially those people who don't come from a lot of money, don't have a lot of just like expendable, they don't have a huge runway. It's like, all right, if you're paying a weekly, rent for a suite, what's that weekly rent? And then from there, what are going to be your expenses per customer on your products, on your marketing, on your like POS system? What kind of fees are you going to be paying on the money you're taking in? Are you doing cash? And I recommend no cash. We are cashless. I do not recommend anybody take cash. It's just a whole host of hurt in the salon world because people are unreliable. But anyway, like what type of payments are you taking and what percentage of that payment is going to be taken out of your pay? Are you paying any utilities? And then from there, decide what that is on a week basis, just so that you can kind of start small. From there, what do you want to make? And why? Like, what are your current expenses outside of your actual work? So, outside of the rent for work, outside of your supplies, your utilities, if you're not hiring any help, or if you are, you have to pay that person. And then from there, okay, now what is your rent or your mortgage? What is your car note? Like, what do you pay in food? Do you have people who rely on you who you also have to pay for? Do you have children? Do you have a partner? What is that all going to cost? Put that number together and then go ahead and divide it up by like the days of the week. Like, okay, now how many days of the week do you need to work to hit just that number? And that's not including living your life like a normal person, wanting to go on vacation, going shopping, treating yourself and all that. It's like, okay, and then also having money to put back in the business. Because I think one of the things that a lot of stylists do, especially when we start out, because I know Thrive Hair Bar did it, is we like undercharge. And I don't know why we all do it, because I've done it. Almost everyone I've ever met that's owned a salon or in the industry has done it. I don't know if it's innate that we're like, ooh, people aren't going to pay this, or ooh, that's a lot of money. Like, yeah, it is, but you're also doing a lot of work. You're doing one-on-one work with someone. It's not as if you're doing something where you are able to serve 10 people at once. It's not a restaurant where you could put food down, walk away, put food down another table and get, revenue from 2, 3, 4, 5 people at a time. Sure, if they're processing, you may be able to do that, but it's still one-on-one. It takes a lot of energy out of you. And I think that we need to be better about making sure to charge accordingly for, again, the expenses that the business, the expenses for our home, putting money back into the business, and then just have money for your life. What if you want to grow and do something else? So it's like charging, those are kind of, I know it's a little all over the place, but those are some of the elements that I want people to consider. And then in terms of finding funding for your business itself, like being able to pay for it, it's like, okay, well, can you put a little bit away every week for what you currently make today? Are there grants that you can apply for? There are so many grants. Five Hair Bar has been really fortunate to win a few, including, a rather what for us is large from the DC government.
Can
Like,
you tell us? Can you tell us what those grants were?
yeah, so we earned a grant from the DC government from the Great Streets 2023 fiscal year. Great Streets Retail Grant. It's a grant that's helping to support businesses that are like beautifying neighborhoods, bringing jobs to communities. And we also earned a grant from Coalition to back, Black businesses. I was a part of a few accelerators through the VIPX program that I did at Wharton. When I was doing my MSED at Penn. And so there was a joint program between GSC, which is the school I went to at Penn, and Wharton, the business school. And I did a few accelerators there that also gave grants, and then some smaller grants through like Black Girl Ventures. There was a pitch competition that applied for it and got, I think it was like third place. So small grants ranging right from $250 here to $80,000 there. Like, my recommendation with that is I apply for like 2 to 3 grants every week. and I've been doing that for 4 years.
Whoa. So
Um,
hold up. Hold on. Okay. We don't have to spend the whole conversation on this, but we definitely need to have a conversation only about how to discover grants, how to look at them, how to think about them, where to find them, and the process for it. But but because this
Fine.
is
Yeah.
okay, this is huge. Like I've had a couple of conversations where people have brought this up and it
Mhm.
kind of gets glossed over a little bit. And so like would you recommend someone just Google grants for DC hair salon? Like where do you even find this stuff?
Yeah, that's a good question. So you can definitely Google grants. You can Google like government grants, and then whatever your demographic is, there's something for you. There are grants for like rural farmer, first time business owners. There are grants for, Latina owned, Black owned. There are grants for LGBTQ owned. There are grants for, ooh, we are a sustainable business. Like whatever it is that is your niche, like there's a grant for it. And so the thing about grants too, and what I did with I Fund Women, who I won a grant from, and they helped us to also crowd fund, is in the accelerators and these mentorship programs, one of the values they help you to do is like have a grant planner. So that every time you're doing a grant, yes, you're customizing it, yes, you're working on it, but you have everything already laid out from the 100 other grants that you've applied for, of which maybe you've won one. Because again, applying for grants, it could be a full-time job. And depending on what your income is, it may not be worth it for you to spend that much time applying for grants, and depending on what the grant is worth. But if
Totally.
it is, right, like do the work. And that's been really helpful for us. The bulk of like the money for being able to open larger place, honestly, is from like business loans. But before this, it was all, personal funds, literally taking money out of my 401k, which they're always like, don't do that. And I'm like, well, whatever, it's there. And
But
eh.
can't you use that as an investment? Can't you roll your 401k to invest in your business?
Absolutely. Well, so I say absolutely because the way, I mean, you probably know, but with your 401k, depending on what's in it and depending on what 401k you have, you can take out a loan and you're paying yourself interest back.
Right, right. Okay.
You can take money out that way. You can also, if you need to, just take out money and take the like tax hit, take the tax hit if it's worth it, depending on what that ROI is going to be at the end of the day. So I also tell younger people like get a job that gives you a 401k. And I don't mean that to like kill your dreams. I mean that to say, hey, we can legally start working at 14. You get a weekend job. If you know you want to be a hairstylist, get a job as a receptionist at a place that like we offer 401k here. From the age of 14 to 21, you could be stacking, even if it's a little bit of money, so that when you get out, yes, that's 401k is supposed to be for your retirement, but you can use it to invest in your own business and build back up that savings. So
Lovely.
like that's, just little ways. It's like there's money there, and it's not always enough. People are like, oh, I saved for it. Like you're not going to be able to save enough again unless you came from money or you have an investor with really deep pockets.
Oh,
Um,
okay. So hold on. So that's actually, can you throw in like if someone's like, okay, I got you. How much money do I need? What would you say to that? Because I feel like that's a loaded question
yeah.
personally, but but how would you answer that?
So if it was to build like a brick and mortar place, I'd say probably ask them for like $500,000. If it's to start in like a suite, 10 grand.
Okay, cool. Well, that,
Um,
that answers the questions. Awesome. I will say the question for me, it's a loaded question because my question is, well, what kind of space are you opening in? Like, is
yeah.
it already a salon, or is it a full build out, or is it like a retail space that you have to like adjust, adapt? I feel like those like a full build out, 500,000, but it seems like if you take over a salon, you can do it for under 100,000. I don't know if that's you have that same experience or not.
So we did a full build out. So my experience, we came in here and this was there's no walls. There was no floor. There was
No fool. Okay, so that's yeah.
I
Okay,
mean, it was concrete. All right. We had a cold dark shell when we got in here. So for us, it was a full build out. Whereas the Arlington is a suite, right? You don't pay anything other than you could literally get started with $800. Like, okay, I'm gonna pay my first week or two of rent. But I say like if you're gonna ask someone for money, you want to have a runway because that first week or two, you may not, if some, right, again, you said if someone has pockets to give you the money, ask for what you need. What you want to
Right.
have is money for marketing, money for continuing education for yourself and maybe anyone who you're having come in. If you're having people come in and you don't have money in your pockets, you need to pay them. You can't pay them if you haven't been paid yet. So you need to have that money to be able to, right, pay your team. So yeah, if you're asking someone for money, that. If you're gonna do it yourself and you're gonna be the person hands-on, there every day, always doing hair, $800. When I started in Arlington, I was still working full time in tech, and then I would just take like 2 days a week where I was doing hair, and the other days of the week I hired a teammate so that we were both in the suite, not at the same time because it's a really small space, but I didn't need 10 grand because I was like, well, I have a job and I'm doing hair, so we were fine. Um,
Right. Okay, so tell us a little bit about the your salon vibes. Like, so if someone is watching, if someone's watching this and they're in, say they're in school, or maybe they're a stylist that's moving into town and they're looking for a salon, or a student, maybe you have a
Mhm.
different maybe you have different things to say depending on who's asking. But tell us a little bit about like the vibe. Like, what's it like to come in and get it? What's the process to get a job there? What can they expect with customer vibes and culture and etc.
So I absolutely love it here. I'm biased, obviously, because I'm the owner. But I think in terms of the vibe, so we love people who are hungry to learn and people who aren't afraid to speak up, share their experiences, share their opinions. Right. If they're like, oh, we're brand agnostic. If someone comes in and like, this product fits into Thrive Hair Bars, like ethics and products, we have a product guideline. It's like, okay, yeah, we'll try it. If it works for more than one person and more than one hair pattern, boom, we'll go ahead and use it. And in terms of like people coming in, just be hungry to learn and also open to working with any and all hair textures that kind of walk through the door. One of the things that Thrive Hair Bar, that's a requirement, is that you know how to do all the styles we provide, even though you may not necessarily always get booked for them, because the experiences that I've had, and I'm sure many people have had, is you walk into a salon and maybe everyone looks like you, maybe nobody looks like you, but you know that feeling when they're like, oh, fuck. Like, there's about to be a problem where they can't do your hair, or they're going to say, oh, let's find that one girl that can do your hair. Oh, she's busy. And we don't want anyone to ever feel that way, whether they're a client or whether they are an employee. It's like, you're welcomed here. And then it's also, a fun environment. We do a lot of team building things. We had our first retreat this year. So we went out to, I think it was Nelly's Ford, and like pool, hot tub, lake, and that was fun. We do like team karaoke nights. And then we do like trainings. We do team trainings every Wednesday from 9 to 11. We have a stylist assistant and stylist and training programs where I think, as I shared before, like they can shadow in Arlington or shadow and learn here in DC. So it's really an environment that's like learning and collaborating and helping each other. You see somebody struggling, you help. You're struggling, don't be afraid to ask for help. If you know stuff, share it. So I think those are really, really kind of pivotal and important.
So the question that comes to mind that when you're talking about what you're talking about is, are you allowing like what's the vibe when it's like when someone wants to work there and they want to work like 3 days a week or once a month or once a quarter? What is your like? How do you respond to that?
Yeah, yeah. So one of the things that Thrive Hair Bar has always wanted to respect, and like one of our core tenets, is understanding that we work with artists and artists need flexibility and freedom. So we literally have stylists who come in once a week. We have stylists who work 5 days a week consistently. We have stylists who work once a quarter. Um, the only thing that we require is communication, and reliability. So if you're changing your schedule or you need to take a month off to go do hair on tour for some major artists, let us know as soon as you know. We can block out that time. If you're scheduled to be here Monday, we're closed Mondays, Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, right, at 9:45 a.m., make sure you're here at 9:45 a.m. If you're scheduled to be here once a quarter at 11:30 on Fridays at the end of the quarter, make sure that you do that. But we want to make sure that artists understand that to create art, you need freedom. And Thrive Hair Bar only does natural hairstyling services, services that are with the hair that comes out of your head. So no chemical processes, no color, no adding hair to styles. And those may be something that a stylist wants to do and loves to do. And so we're saying that's fine. Go ahead and do that when you're not here. Those, other 2 days a week that you've decided to not be a Thrive Hair Bar. If you're here 3 days a week, maybe you work in an extension bar. Maybe you have your own suite. Because I think I shared before, we have stylists who do own their own suites, but they also choose to be here because they know they have flexibility. They know it's team atmosphere. There's collaboration, and they know that they're going to have the freedom. So when they need to live their lives and take time off, they can absolutely do that. So yeah, flexibility is really, really big for us.
Well, I think that it sounds like you're firing on all cylinders because you have the benefits, you have the flexibility, and like the benefits of the 401k. The flexibility is like a big one, and a lot of salon owners tend to build their teams by hiring stylists that have big books, and
Mhm.
and then eventually they become beholden to those stylists. And if you don't have that brand loyalty, then with the customers, when that stylist leaves, then you lose all those customers, and then there goes your business.
Yeah.
So what would you say, like, how would you okay, but however, at the same time, if you're opening up a salon, you're like, who's gonna help me pay my bills? It's like I need to have some stylists who have books. So it's like there's a catch 22 here with, like, if you're trying to have a business, like, how do you respond to that, like, conundrum?
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. And that's a difficult thing to do. I think it's a multifold for us. So one thing at Thrive Hair Bar, we do a ton of training, right? We have training every Wednesday morning, and then we allow stylists to do models every Tuesday evening. And that's really valuable for us because one of our requirements is that you know how to do all the styles we offer. That doesn't mean that you're going to actually be booked to do them, right? If somebody knows that I'm a badass at cutting curly hair, but I'm not so great at blowouts, I'm probably not going to get booked for that many blowouts, but I can give a decent one, right? For example, if you walk in and out of the door. And the reason that we have that is so that no matter who comes in, if there is an opening, there's someone to be able to service them. But it also ensures that, like, stylists can have lives outside of the hair bar. It ensures that stylists get to respect themselves and their time, because I know what, as stylists, like, we've all been there where a client's like, oh, you're going on vacation. Oh my gosh, who's going to do my hair? Or, oh, can you come in at 7 or 8 a.m. for me? And it's like, no, I cannot, but you're fully booked. Oh, wow. Like, that is just, why would you think that I can take 3 hours out of my day that's already full just to do your hair? There's someone else here that can do it. And we have a community and a team that stylist has the support and the confidence to say, hey, you know what, Dana, I can't take you, but Cara has a free opening at 2 p.m. And if for some reason something doesn't go right, I'll be right there to help her, or I can, fix it if I'm in tomorrow. Being able to have that freedom and flexibility. So making sure that everyone is trained. And then to your point, if you are hiring those people who come in with those books and those followings, making sure that you're having people that are learning from them, and that you're hiring people who understand that gatekeeping is not beneficial for anyone, and people who understand that having support is going to help them in the long run. And so, learning and helping each other is going to be really good. And the other thing that we also have is telling salon owners, make sure that when you open a salon, you're not just opening, there's suites for a reason, there's salons for a reason, right? A salon is, in my opinion, should be a cohesive experience. And a suite, everyone gets to do exactly what they want. There are walls to separate you. In a salon, there are not walls, right? This is an open space. So when someone walks in, they should feel like they're getting the experience of your brand. So at Thrive Hair Bar, you get the Thrive Hair Bar experience, where we have signature drinks that you're offered. Most of the people in the room are going to know your name, not just your stylist. We have your client sheet and record that shows the products that you've been using, aversions or allergies, the styles that you typically get, pictures of your history and your hairstyle. So it's not just about you and the relationship with the person who may have been doing your hair. It's about your experience here. And we have membership options. So not only does that go ahead and help to create predictable revenue for the salon, but it locks that client in to the experience where they can then use that membership with any stylist that's here. So I just think those are some of the ways that, like, make sure that you're giving an experience, not just a style. But that also helps with your pricing because you have kind of that, I think it's maybe a little bit of an old school mindset where somebody goes, oh, I'm going in and I'm paying for a blowout. I'm paying for braids. Like, no, you're not. What you're paying for is an experience. You walked into the door, you were, treated a certain way. Your hair was shampooed, your issues were listened to, your hair was conditioned, it was treated. All that stuff costs us money to give you. All that stuff costs you money to pay for and time. That's all factored into your pricing. So you're never going in and paying for a blowout. You're never going in and paying for some braids. You're going in and paying for this whole experience that multiple people had to collaborate on to give you. And we want to make sure that you feel that collaboration. So when you're in a salon space, just for owners, make sure that that is readily apparent, and that'll help to build some brand loyalty.
Yeah, nice. That's so awesome. Well, this has been an awesome conversation. It's been a pleasure to meet you and your team, or your business, and
Oh,
learn about your culture. So let's do a little wrap up, takeaway, and last pieces of advice. Okay. So as a wrap up, you entered in the industry through an unconventional way. You're in tech and sales, and you're having an experience where you can't find the services that you need in the way in where and when you need them. So you decide you're going to open up a space that you're going to provide exactly what you believe is missing in the market, as well as creating a space, it sounds like, where you want a team to just like really hang out and thrive. No
okay.
pun intended. And that makes I love it. It all makes so much sense. You got the I mean, you really are firing on all cylinders here. And plus, like, you being able to work under you, or not under, my people not like the way that sounds. So on being able to work with you and in your space, you not only have access to training technically, you have access to like understanding what it means to build a brand, but also your history. You're gonna have a certain amount of wealth of knowledge to share in space that most salon owners and most people in the industry don't. And that's, your work in tech and sales, like, it delivers a certain amount of a certain perspective that I think would be so valuable for so many folks in the industry. And takeaways. I'll let you do like a takeaways slash advice wrap up combo here. So if we have let's a handful of folks. You kind of touched on salon owners just now, but if there's any other advice that you have to a salon owner that you'd like to add to what you just said, if not, cool. But also, like, what about the student who is thinking about what they want to do with their career, where they want to work, how are they going to pick a spot, and they like what you have to say, but maybe they're like, I don't know, there's lots of thoughts in these folks' heads because the world is theirs. It's like imagine being that 19 again, 18. Oh my gosh. And then also like a suite owner who maybe some of them have said that they're looking for more community, a little bit more relationships, and in terms, not necessarily outside of the industry though.
Mhm.
So what are your piece of advice or takeaway points that you'd like to deliver to those people?
Yeah, I'll start with the students. So kind of, and I'll try to give advice that is quick for each, but not super kind of generic or glossing over the important points. For students, I think it's really important that as soon as you know you want to do hair, maybe even before you get to school, but once you're in hair school, to shadow. And you can find shadow opportunities by the Instagram stylist that you're following. You can DM them, reach out and say, hey, I'd love to shadow you for 2 hours. I'm new to the industry. I love what you do. I want to do what it is that you're doing. You can look up different salons, and if it aligns with something you're interested in, it doesn't have to be okay. You may not be sure you want to do color. You may not be sure that you want to do, you want to be a braider. You may not sure that you want to do precision cuts, but if there's something you're interested in, go shadow it and try as many opportunities as you can. I think that's super important. And it's also important to note I think some students are afraid that, oh, when they hear the word shadow, they think, oh, I'm going to go and they're going to try to make me work for free. No, like shadow, that is not what shadowing is. You are not there to clean up after people. You are not there to help them shampoo anyone's head. At Thrive Hair Bar, right? You shadow, you don't have a license. You are not touching our clients at all. You are there to watch and learn. Now, if you get hired as a salon assistant or an intern, that's a different story. You should definitely be, being compensated while you're learning, helping to clean, helping to do maybe mixed formulations and understand products and stuff like that. But I think that's a really, really good opportunity for learning. And then on the flip side, for suite owners, I think take those opportunities. Somebody DMs you and you see their page and their vibe is something that you vibe with, and they're like, hey, I want to come shadow with you. Let them come learn. Because even if you are a solo artist, you want to go on vacation. Why leave the suite empty? Right? They get a license. That could be your first call. Hey, can you take my clients for the week? And those clients have seen that person in there with you, shadowing, maybe playing on their mannequin or learning on their mannequin. I play with my mannequin still, but learning on their mannequin, and that'll maybe build a little bit more trust rather than having somebody in there all of a sudden. And now you as a suite owner, you're not having to eat a week or 2 or 3 weeks worth of rent, but you can also go on your vacation happy knowing there's someone there that you trust, someone that you trained yourself, that you've shared things with. Also, fresh out of school, there may be some things and some new techniques that they're learning that you're not privy to because you've been out of school for a while, or trainings that they've been offered that maybe you didn't know about because you haven't been in that necessary learning environment as deeply as they are. And then you mentioned the industry wide, people are kind of saying they want more community. They may be feeling a little lonely because we're getting away from the salon spaces where everybody's here together. In Arlington, we do still have a salon, and the ladies next to us, and I believe it's Lavender and Maine, and Jordan's the owner there. And I apologize if I get that wrong. But what she did is she actually collaborated with another suite owner, and now they share a bigger suite. So while it's not a salon environment, it is a mini salon, right? There's multiple people there with different businesses, but they vibe. The space is clearly a reflection of both of them. And now they have a community and don't necessarily have to be, one-on-one alone. One of the other things is, I think I shared before, we have had many stylists do this, but 2 of our current stylists on staff have their own suites. So they're not with Thrive Hair Bar, 5 days a week. They're with us a few days, and then they work in their own suites on their own businesses on a few days, helping to build their own brands and doing things that they love that may be different from some of the things they love that they do with us. So for the sweet people, I say, like, don't be afraid to build that community, whether it's, hey, I'm gonna come work at that hair bar, or somewhere else a day or 2 or 3 a week, and also have your suite, whether it's having those students in there, shadowing you, whether it's collaborating with other suite owners. I think that's really beneficial. And then lastly, for salon owners, I'm always like, give me more advice, right? I'm the newbie to the industry. I'm the one who's green. But I know what has definitely, I think, been pivotal for us is, I think I mentioned a little bit, is having those memberships. Is giving the value of having a membership to your clients, but also having that predictable revenue for yourself, and having a client database for your stylists that are here, and for everyone to share, so that stylists have the flexibility to know they can take that vacation, go work somewhere else if they want to do that, without having to worry about their clients kind of beating their door down, asking them to do their hair, and making sure that you're having a specific experience that you're curating for your guests, so that they are loving the experience and coming to you for your brand, even if that stylist decides to go off and leave. And one of the other things is making sure that you, again, I quote Laura Huang, so one of my professors at in grad school, but it's hire slow, fire fast. You have individuals that come into the space, you interview them, and you're not quite sure if they're a fit. They're not a fit. Do not hire them. You interview them, you hire them, and things they're not feeling quite right, whatever may be going on, then you need to terminate that employment as soon as possible. Because the longer you keep them there, the longer that there's going to breed a culture of toxicity. And then you're going to be, petrified. They leave. Oh my gosh, they're going to take all these people with them. But don't build that in the first place. So I guess those would be kind of my like parting parting advice, hire slow, fire fast, build your network. And we got social media today to help. So you don't have to go door to door knocking, but good old school door to door knocking is a great way to get someone's attention because people don't do it anymore. You know where someone works. You know, Tuesdays are typically slow in the salon industry. You want to shadow them, go introduce yourself. You know, the internet says they're open, go check it out and say hello. Say, hey, I love what you do. I follow you on Instagram. I'm going to shadow you. Like if people did that, they'd be much higher on my list when we interview, as opposed to those who don't. So hopefully that's helpful.
Awesome. This is all good, and I just want to add two things. Well, the take one of the takeaways that I didn't mention earlier was the conversation around grants and the conversation around budgeting. You laid out a very detailed perspective on making sure that you know where all your money's where all your money's going, and make sure you calculate those numbers correctly. And then the conversation about grants, which I think we should definitely have a whole separate conversation about, by the way.
Fun.
So those things I felt like kind of got thrown in there during your story to add just a little, just like a little extra bonus. So thank you for sharing all of this. This has been such a pleasure, and I really look forward to having you on the show again soon.
Me too. Thank you so much, Robert. I appreciate it and I enjoyed my time with you.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, until next time. See ya.
Yeah. See ya.